Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 21 career mode, and today we are here for the 8th and 9th rounds of the season at Catalunya and Sachsenring. So this episode is going to be an interesting one because Catalunya, I know I was very fast there in Moto 3, particularly out of turn 9 for example, I was very fast through there, so hopefully that could transfer across and I can have good pace at Catalunya. But Sachsenring is a little bit of an unknown to me really, because in the last season, you'll probably remember there was the horrendous glitch still where all the AI tended to crash, and they all just crashed at the penultimate turn and final turn every lap. So I didn't get any gauge on their pace whatsoever. Now, of course, there was a little bit to go off. There was obviously qualifying and practice, and I did put the bike on pole, but I put it on pole every race that season, virtually. There was a couple that I didn't, but that didn't necessarily mean that I was going to win the race. So, yeah, I'm not particularly sure how good they're going to be at Sachsenring. I'm hoping that they won't be as overpowered as they have been compared to me in the past. And I'm not saying that the AI are overpowered, I'm just saying that I struggled at Sachsenring a lot because of all the long left-handers. So hopefully I can not struggle too badly through there. And then another reason why this episode is going to be quite interesting is the fact that this is the first time I'm going to be playing Moto 2 since the new physics came out. So for some reason, the physics and the controller input were completely changed in the most recent update, and it was not mentioned at all on the patch notes. Of course, as soon as you play the game, you can tell immediately. But yeah, the game is really different now. So, well, it's not completely different, but there's quite a big change. It does feel a lot different. You get a lot more vibration to the controller. There seems to be a bit more of a dead zone on the stick as well. Like, it kind of takes a bit longer for anything to happen. So that'll be interesting, and of course, in that update, it was a Moto 2 livery update. So we've got all the liveries now for Moto 2, which is nice. But without any further ado then, we'll head into Catalunya, no more rambling, and I'll see you after practice. So then, towards the end of practice, it's not quite been as fruitful as I would have liked. However, the position itself is quite good. You can see we are currently fastest, but only half a tenth now in front of the Bosco of Canet. And Navarro is actually in third place. It seems like the Bosco is going pretty well here. You can see Sam Lowe's has got a red third sector as well. So I'm guessing the AI are probably going out doing their qualifying runs now. But if we have a look at the development tests, it's not been as good as I wanted. You can see I've only actually done 2 of them. And that's purely because I made a little mistake on my, well, it wasn't actually even really a mistake, but my third lap on my lap by lap just wasn't enough, and I didn't want to have to do 3 laps again. I don't really like that practice program, and I've said it before, to have to improve every time is quite difficult. It's very difficult to improve 3 times in a row because your tyre gets more and more worn. It should be just go under a 46.6 3 times in a row. I think that would be a much more fair practice program. I don't know about anybody else, but that's what I think anyway, at least. The long lap penalty, I've done it 3 times. I've got, to be fair, once I was like about half a tenth outside the lap time. But the other 2 times, did the long lap, did the lap time. But as we know, the clean lap with LLP is a little bit glitched sometimes, and you don't get it. Even when it says you've served the long lap, you go over the line, you beat the time. Sometimes it doesn't give it to you anyway, so unfortunate. Usually it works second try if it doesn't work first try, but I think because I failed it, the one in the middle, because it was bugged, it probably didn't work again when I came around to try it for the third time, but I'm not doing it again, so we'll just leave that one as it is. And then time attack, we should get that. So we should get 3 of the objectives here, and then first rider, that's what we got to aim for in qualifying. But honestly, the bike feels pretty good. Obviously, like I said previously, before we came to the track, there has been a physics update, and in Moto 2, it actually seemed to suit me quite well. I'll get on the bike. I don't know whether I have to make up as much time on the brakes as well now. It feels like I'm a bit quicker actually out the corners, so that is really good to see. But we'll head into qualifying now. Hopefully we should get straight through into qualified 2 since this is the only dry session of the weekend. So then in the end I was still fastest, half a tenth in front of Canet then still. Jorge Navarro in third place, Augusto Fernandez 4th, Bezzecchi doing quite well in 5th place there, and Sam Lowe's in 6th. But Remy Gardner, you can see, is absolutely nowhere because my teammate Ralph Fernandez is down in 7th, but where is Remy Gardner? Down in 13th. So, yeah, I'm not sure what exactly milestone changed in the most recent update, because apparently they adjusted the AI performance to match real life, but in Moto 2 it doesn't really seem to be any more realistic, because of course you've got a Bosco 2nd and 3rd. I mean, at least it's actually called a Bosco in the base game now with no mods, so that's a plus. But yeah, really weird that Canet and Navarro are doing so well, so we'll have to watch out for those 2, but if it came to it, I'd let them beat me because they're not fighting for the championship. But we'll head into qualifying 2 now. I actually said that it was the only dry session of the weekend was FP1. I meant it was the only dry free practice session. All the other sessions are dry, so qualifying the race will be sunny. It's just that FP2 and 3 are wet. So here we are then in qualifying 2. Of course, the top 14 are going to be exactly the same as they were in FP1. So the riders going through qualifying 1 were Digi Antonio and Joe Roberts. That's a bit of a surprise. And Bo Benschneider actually as well. So Digi Antonio, Benschneider and Roberts. That's quite a surprise to see all of them having to come through Q1. And then of course Agora as well, who to be fair has been pretty good in real life. I'm not really sure how well he's been doing in the game. I've not been keeping that much of a tab on him, to be honest. But yeah, 4 quite fast riders there go through Q1. So I guess those would be your favourite 4 to go through. So it could be quite a close qualifying session because there's absolutely nobody slow in this session. So the medium is going to be the way to go as always because, well, that's just how you got to do it in Moto 2 for qualifying. The soft gets shredded. I think you could maybe make a soft tyre work at some tracks. This is probably not one of them though because the right hand side of the tyre gets an absolute battering basically. Around half the track it gets so shredded. Which means for the race you're going to have to go for a hard tyre on the rear for sure. Maybe you can make a medium work on the front. And really, a medium would probably be more ideal, but you just have to go for a hard because it's so shredded. So you have to make a slight compromise with that because you just need the tyre to not destroy itself. But we'll head out onto the track then now. Of course, it is a dry session, so you can actually set your fastest lap at the start of the session. Ben Schneider obviously went through Q1 like we said, but has already hopped to the top of the timesheets, but I know they can go a fair amount quicker than that because they were doing 45s in free practice. So Ben Schneider with a 46 there, but I noticed Navarro is still second, so it really seems like the Bosco Seguro has stepped up this weekend, which does make sense because Catalunya is historically a bit of a speed-up track. Although this year it wasn't really, but in the past, of course, it has been with Quartararo winning the race here. I think Digi Antonio and Navarro have both had some good races on it when, obviously when Digi Antonio was still on that bike, Navarro still is. And Navarro probably would have had decent pace if he didn't crash. Well, actually, I can't remember if he did crash, but to be honest, it's a safe bet that he did. So into the first corner then, I braked way too early there and then gassed that way too aggressively. So that first sector was absolutely dreadful. Yep, you see, it wasn't even quicker than that AI, which really tells you because the first sector is a sector where I'm actually better than most players just because it's so hard braking. So if I've not even beat the AI through there, you know it's not been a great first sector. And we've gone in so hot into T4, we've gone off the track. This qualifying session has started off disastrously, so I'll have to finish the rest of this lap then, and I'll rejoin you at the start of the next one. So let's see if this second lap will be an improvement. All I have to do is not run through the grass, and it should be better. I did invalidate this one as well. I just ran wide on the green at one point, but of course didn't really matter. So 49.1 that was, so that was like 2.5 seconds off, but that's actually not too bad considering we went through the gravel. So you'll probably notice that obviously all the new liveries, again, like I said earlier, were a tenth underneath then in that first sector. But like I was saying, you'll probably notice all the new liveries in this episode because of the Moto 2 update. It definitely makes the game a lot more whole. Oh, whoa, whoa! That was close. They need to fix that. That curb is absolutely deadly. I completely lost my composure, lost my grip on the throttle. I'm going to have to go for yet another lap. And I'm going to run into the gravel again, aren't I? Oh, just keeping it out there. Here we go then, through the final turn. What is this first proper lap going to be? First one I didn't run off the track, although I still had a huge save on that curb up towards the line that was almost in the 47s. 46.6. So it's better than Navarro, actually, so forget what I was saying about the Bosco Seguro being good at this circuit. Oh no, he's just jumped back ahead of me as I said that. So through the final turn then, this lap's only about 8 tenths quicker, so it's still going to be a fair amount off Sam. I actually didn't lose much time from the mistake when I looked at the sector time. Yeah, only 13th. That's actually a very close grid. We'll have to come back in and get some more fuel and have another go on some brand new tyres because 13th just isn't good enough. So here we go then, we've got the benefit of fresh tyres this time. We've also got a bit of a marker in front of us, although that wasn't intentional, it's just how it's worked out. It's actually Schrotter as well, so it's a good marker to have. Yeah, and in fact he's just gone pole position, speaking of that, so we're right behind the pole man now. Hopefully he'll give us a little bit of a tow. Some fresh rubber has made all the difference because we're a second underneath the time. As we come up towards the line, this is going to be pole position. I think it is. 1 minute 44.6. Almost 4 tenths clear of Marcel Schrotter. You saw how much we closed up to him, and that's the kind of lap I needed. I'm quite surprised. I don't think that's all down to the tyres. I think I must have rode a bit better. Having Schrotter as a reference most certainly helped. But there we go then. Pole position here at Catalunya with 52 seconds to go on the clock. I think that one's fairly secure, although Schrotter is red in the first sector, so we have got to watch out for that. But we're going to get a good starting position on the grid regardless, even if it's not quite pole, but hopefully it will be. So then, no one was actually able to improve in the final few seconds of that session then, so we do get pole position by almost 0.4 of a second ahead of Schrotter in second, Lowe's in third, fourth place then for Joe Roberts, and fifth for Bo Benschneider. So, two of the riders going through Q1, doing a pretty good recovery there to get fourth and fifth. My two teammates a little bit further down the order, Remy Gardner and Ralph Fernandez, 7th and 8th. Bezzecchi down in 9th place, obviously who we battled for the win back in Mugello. But honestly, I'm not too surprised about anybody else. I mean, Baldassari, 15th, that's probably actually about right for him. At least he's not on pole this time. But Bo Benschneider seems to be so good in this game. So another fairly decent starting position. He might be able to get back up into that championship fight because he dropped down a few positions behind the likes of Gardner and Bezzecchi, I believe. But if he gets a good result, he'll probably get back in front of them. So then, down here on the grid, we're looking at Sam Lowe's. You can see the updated Mark VDS and all the team kit. Does look quite nice. But unfortunately, I'm a little bit hamstrung in terms of the tyres I'm going to have to use in this race, like I was saying in qualifying. I don't really want to use the hard rear, but the medium's not going to last. I mean, the game is recommending me a medium, but look at that. That medium did one lap and it's almost half gone. So, honestly, I'm not going to have any grip on the right-hand side if I go for anything else. I've just got to go for a hard. And we saw in the last episode, going against what the game suggests isn't always a bad thing. I did that in Mugello. I had plenty of tyre grip at the end. In fact, I probably had the advantage purely because I had more grip. In the early stages anyway, at least, of course, because I had a fresh medium, they had fresh hard, so obviously the medium had a lot more grip. That allowed me to take the lead early on and sort of cruise to victory. Well, I made it hard for myself, but I had the pace. I could sort of win without too much trouble. But I'm thinking I'm going to have to use a hard on the front as well because I used up all my mediums in qualifying. And I think I would have probably tried to make a medium front last the whole race because you can see that's not quite as bad. That's still got 62% on the right-hand side, although that's still actually quite low. So the hard tyre, actually it's recommending me a hard tyre for the front. So yeah, hard than it is for this race. Hopefully that is the tyre combination for success. Of course, we do need to focus on the start first. That has been my main weakness all season, and every time we've got a good start, we've actually won the race. So if we can get off to a good start here, that really puts us in good stead for a good result.
Just a few moments to go and the Catalan Grand Prix will get going. Riders in the zone because they know they will have to give 100% from the off.
We've got Marcel Strotter. He could be a bit of a thorn in my side potentially because he's not in the championship, so he's got nothing to lose. Waiting for the lights to go here then at Catalunya. Lights out, away we go, and this time I've not had such a good sight. You see, Schrotter's gone flying past me. Joe Roberts actually just collided with me a little bit there, but it's actually not too bad. Even though it was a pretty poor start, I've already dropped down to third place, and that's not the end of the world at all. So if we break for the first corner, then we've got Lowe's right in front of us. Someone's trying to come on the inside. One of the Boscoscuros, it's Navarro trying to go on the inside, so he has found a little bit more pace than earlier on in that qualifying session. He's up in fourth place. He's been looking good all weekend, so we have got to watch out for him. But at the minute then, Schrotter leads, not too worried about Marcel Schrotter. He can go away and win the race, really, as far as I'm concerned, because he's not fighting for the championship. I just need to make sure that I beat Lowe's. Well, the Schrotter's gone very wide. Lowe's might be able to attack Schrotter here. I haven't got the power to get past, keep with Lowe's through that section. He actually had very good traction out that corner. I think the AI probably do have some sort of traction control. But out of turn 5 then, it stays put. I thought I was going to get a really good run on Sam there, but he actually, again, got a bit of a better exit. So through to TV3, flicking it over into turn 8 again. I've just not got anywhere to capitalise. The AI actually are doing pretty well so far, but out of turn 9 they were very weak in Moto 3. It doesn't seem like that's the same in MotoGP because they've got out of there pretty well. Lowe's is definitely looking up a move on Schrotter. You can see he's gone to the inside a couple of times. I thought Canet was going up my inside then, but fortunately have managed to keep in front of the Spaniard. Of course, it's his home Grand Prix as well, so we'll definitely want to do something well. I've gone a little bit wide, and there he goes on the inside. Bit of contact with Jorge Navarro, and he's on the inside through the penultimate toga, trying to lean on him a little bit, but I think I'm just going to have to let him have it, because that's just going to risk a crash otherwise. So that's exactly what I didn't need, because I was sort of going with Lowe's and Schrotter, and now we've got another bike in the way, and it's not really so much that, because I'll probably switch him on this straight. It's the fact that now Lowe's and Schrotter have a lead. It looks like Lowe's is going for the lead as well. Down towards the first corner. Yes, he does. He takes the lead from Marcel Schrotter, but Schrotter's still on the inside. Oh, that was close between the two of them in front there. Back up the inside again goes Navarro, because I went in a bit too hot into the first corner. Navarro goes back around the outside then through turn 2. So fair play to Jorge Navarro, because I made a mistake there and he got through. But I really need to get my head down and get past Navarro. I don't think I'm going to beat Lowe's now by the looks of it, but I need to get second place. Although Schrotter is going back at Lowe's. I was thinking that Lowe's was just going to check out, but Schrotter's giving him a... getting up the inside of him. He's having a look. So through turn 5, then we're right on the back of Navarro. We've got the power. Oh, bit of a slide. I was using Super Mode 3 to try and get the drive on him. And there we go. Up the inside, a bit of contact. I've hit him at the back. That's completely set us off. We've hit to the side of him. We've knocked him off. We've knocked off Jorge Navarro. That is controversial. We've got a big pack behind us as well. It's because I hit him at the back all the way into the corner. It completely offset my trajectory. I'm going to have to try and let someone through to make up for that. Oh, it doesn't look like anybody actually wants to come through. I'm going to brake nice and early to let somebody through. Is Bo Benschneider going to come through? Not quite. Come on, Bo. Come through. I'm trying to give the AI one back there. I've given them 3 by accident. So, yeah, this race has gone absolutely terribly. I think my run of first place is definitely over now. But Gardner's a bit wide. Can we get the inside of Gardner? No, we can't. So, Remy back in front of us. I almost looked at the inside into turn 14 there. But you can see how big of a lead Schrotter and Lowe's have got. This is how much time you lose if you get stuck in the pack. I mean, I know I probably caused this gap quite a lot as well myself by slowing down to let these through. But even still, you see Sam Lowe's with a 45.6. I've got past 2 of them there. We've got past Benschneider. We've got past Roberts. We're now about past Remy Gardner. We're up into 3rd place. But we've got 2.6 seconds of Sam Lowe's. Or the Schrotter then has retaken the lead. So, well done to Schrotter. That definitely helps me out. Only 4-point deficit now. That's not too bad. But if I can try and get my head down, I can try and close them back up, because you can see I'm already half a second under my personal best because we didn't make such a big mistake through the first corner. So I've just set fastest lap of the race then. Only 2.4 seconds behind, but that's still a huge gap. We took obviously a fair amount out of them. They are still battling in front, although I think Lowe's has finally got it by the looks of it. So Sam Lowe's then hits the front. Looks like he's going to get that full 25 points, and he's going to gain 9 back on me, which is really bad for our championship. I think I've got about, 10 points on him, so this will really close it up. So Lowe's has had another fastest lap of the race. I've then beaten that by a 10th. So we are getting a little bit away from Remy now, but yeah, we're not catching these 2 in front. So starting the final lap, then it's about the same gap, 2.2 seconds. Lowe's is still hanging on, but Schrotter is really not letting this one go. Schrotter could go for something on this final lap. As usual, they've dropped off massively on this final lap. You can see the gap is 1.5 seconds now. Took a big chunk out of them, but unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. Sam Lowe's is going to win the Catalan GP and really reduce my lead in the World Championship. Marcel Schrotter is going to have a fantastic result in 2nd, and to be honest, I'll take 3rd place after the first couple of laps after that issue with Navarro. So my fastest lap of the race actually stood up. It wasn't beaten by their simulated times, which is quite a rarity. You know you've done a good lap when that's the case. So 3rd place then, I'll definitely take that one. I think I could have won the race, honestly. I had the pace to do so. It's just that we lost so much time with Jorge Navarro. Of course, the crash was my fault because I went to make a pass on him, hit him up the back beforehand, and then that completely turned my line off. I just went straight into the side of him then because I was out of control because I'd already had contact. But even before that, he'd cost me so much time by trying to pass me into the penultimate turn. It was a silly move that, because I blasted straight back past him on the straight anyway. So it was really I don't know why he did it, to be honest. It kind of cost us both. But it ended up, well, yeah, it kind of led to him ending on the floor. I mean, I know that was my fault, but if he hadn't have gone past me, he would have stayed on. So yeah, it was a little bit silly there. But Remy Gardner did pretty well then with 4th place in that one. Not sure where my other teammate Fernandez down in 16th, not even scoring points. That is poor. Let's see, did he actually get back on? Yeah, Navarro got back on, 9 seconds off the win. Actually, not too bad in this game for time loss for a crash. Yeah, so in the Riders' Championship then, Sam Lowe's actually takes the lead back ahead of me. I'm now 2 points behind him. We've got a fairly safe margin back to Remy Gardner in 3rd place because he's only got 95 points. Marco Bezzecchi in 4th. Bo Benschneider is still sat in 5th place, but he's not too many points now in front of Augusto Fernandez on 72. But it's unfortunate there that we've lost the championship lead. We're going to have to try and strike back in Sachsenring. And in the team's championship, I think we actually still extended our lead anyway, because even though Sam gained on me, Remy obviously also beat Augusto Fernandez by, I think, 2 positions. So in the end, I think it about balanced out. Maybe they gained a few points, but we still got a nice lead there, 34 points. We're pulling quite far in front of everybody else now. Obviously, Sky VR46 are slowly starting to drop out because Vietti didn't have the the greatest result there, to be honest. But we're headed to the career hub now to end off this weekend. I'm really disappointed that we didn't win, because we definitely had the pace to do so, but it was my own mistake. Ran wide, obviously that allowed us to be attacked by Navarro, and then of course I clattered straight into him. That's totally my fault, that one. But yeah, I probably shouldn't have waited. I waited up to let the AI through. That probably did more of the damage, to be honest, because I probably would have only been 1 point something behind. And on that last lap, we could have had a look at something if they were that close. But unfortunately, yeah, just a bit of a scrappy race from me. So then, actually a pretty good weekend overall for the reputation, because of course we met both objectives in the qualifying and the race. Unfortunately, we didn't get the little bonus for winning, but it's not the end of the world. So overall, we gained 23,500, which now takes us up to 296,375. So we're nearly at 300,000 now, not too far away from that. Let's have a look at the credits. 12,637, which takes us up to 216,904. But onto the R&D, wasn't the best weekend, honestly. We got the brake discs, we got time attack, we got track study. We actually got first rider this time. I think last time that came up, I just didn't get given it for whatever reason. But this time, we actually did. And we've now got so much research data. Look at that, 8,000 on the engine, 3,000 on the frame, and 3,600 on the electronics. But we have got quite a few notifications here. You can see on the personal manager. I was expecting it to be teams interested. Which teams are now interested? Red Bull KTM Factory Racing. Their proposal chance has gone up to low. Petronas Yamaha SRT. And Ducati Lenovo. No way that they're now interested. I suppose those are three good teams, actually. Because I was thinking Ducati being sort of put with those other two is a little bit unfair in the same sort of bracket. But when you actually think about it, all these teams won races in real life last season, so I guess that's really what it is. Repsol Honda, honestly, you would have thought would be a bit lower, but of course the factory Honda team is always going to have very high expectations. But yeah, we are really getting offered some decent rides now, and I think some of these would definitely be the ones to consider. I'll be honest, I'm expecting that these will probably be unlocked as well by the end, because of the VIP multiplier. Just gives you so much reputation. So we'll probably have a free pick of a MotoGP team, but I think I'll have to go with someone a little lower so we don't lose a load of reputation if we struggle at the start, because I think I'll probably struggle at the start of the season a little bit. And again, it's the same story here, just the top three fake teams are not interested, but I'm not interested in them either, so no worries there. So we've got one more week on the frame, so if we advance forward to Sachsenring, that will give us our new frame upgrade that we can put on. So we're 50% of the way there now on the frame. And we can put whichever ones we want on now. So we've got 3,000 research data. That's 2,500 for this upgrade alone for improved tyre consumption. That's better reactivity. That's tyre consumption improvement. So we still need to get quite a few. So even though we've actually got quite a lot of research data on the frame, it's not enough to stop doing R&D altogether. So we'll still have to keep doing that. Even though we've got 3,000, it's 2,500 for this one upgrade, so I'll put that one on just to get that out of the way, and that's going to take 9 weeks to do, so that's going to take quite a while, but I've finally taken that random engine engineer off. 3 more weeks then on this engine upgrade, and then I can start putting that guy actually on these upgrades, and actually use him for what he's been hired for, because I accidentally put him on the frame ages ago, and he's been stuck on it all season because of that. But since there are no other notifications to deal with, we've upgraded the frame now. Let's head into Sachsenring. This one should be interesting because it's a lot of the time on the left-hand side of the tyre. The AI tend to be pretty good through the second sector, so yeah, they'll probably give me a good run for my money. So then, I've done a few laps in practice, and honestly, it's not going too well. I mean, I'm second place in the session, so I guess it's not horrendous, but in terms of the research data, it's not going so well with the development test, purely because I can't beat the times around this circuit. I can't even get close to them, so I'm not going to bother really doing any more. The long lap penalty, 126.1, well, you'd probably need to be in the 23s really to do that, and I can't get in the 23s, so I know I can't do that one. However, I'm not too far off the AI's pace, so hopefully we should be able to gain access to qualifying 2, so that should be a 350 research data there. Without falls as well, that's 300 there. Tyre test, again, that's another one of the ones I don't like, because the soft tyre is not good enough in this game to do anything decent, and the hard tyre is too hard to do, you know, a good lap time in practice. I mean, to do a 23.5, which is currently what is top, actually it's not even top of the session, I don't think. Actually, it might be. Let's have a look. Yeah, it is. So, what top of the session you need to do that on a hard tyre, soft tyre, and a medium tyre? Yeah, the soft tyre's not good enough to do that because it just shreds. Especially at this circuit, you spend half the time on the left-hand side of the tyres, it'd be absolutely gone. So we'll head into qualifying now, but qualifying and the race are going to be wet, so yeah, it'll be interesting. Hopefully we get straight through into qualifying 2, because you know what it's like, sometimes the AI will find a second between sessions. So unfortunately, no, we didn't actually get through. We are in Q1, only just, you can see, because I was the second person in this session, so we just dropped out of that. And honestly, I can't see myself progressing out this session with it being as wet as it is. My pace has not been too bad in the wet, but it's not been that great where I think I can get top of the session. Because obviously I need to get in the top 4 to get through, but I don't trust that because in the previous games you needed to get in obviously the top 2 for the MotoGP class, for example, and if you got second, it didn't put you through. You started like 15th, 16th on the grid or something ridiculous like that. So I'm hoping that glitch is fixed now, but that could be present here in Moto 2 as well. So I kind of need to go top of the session just to make sure that we do go through. But since it is wet, it's going to be tough. It is definitely going to be tough. So Cameron Bobier then 29.9 top of the session. I definitely want to turn down the engine mode there. You can see power mode 3. I think honestly the best course of action is just going to be to go around this entire session because there's you're just going to find more confidence. But the track isn't going to improve at all, so we haven't got to worry about going out at the end. Because that's only wet track where you need to do that. Whereas this is full rain conditions. So we brake at the pit lane exit. And weirdly enough, that actually works really well in Moto 2. In MotoGP, you'll end up on your ear in the gravel. Oh, there's such a lack of grip here. Absolutely nothing. I'm going to go down to power mode 1 just to get a little bit more grip. But yeah, the lack of traction control, the slightly slidier rear end since the new update, and the wet weather do not make a good combination. That is for sure. We'll have to see what this time is through this section. 8/10 off Bobier. I think I know someone starting in the 20s on the grid. So coming through the final turn then, I actually have no idea how far we are off now because I didn't look at the third sector, I forgot to look completely. So up towards the line, well it's a fair way off, 1.2 seconds, which actually has only put me 5th, so actually not too bad, we're almost in that top 4. But yeah, we really do need to find some more time. So towards the line then, we found a second on that lap, so only a 10th off Bobier, well 2/10 off him. So that was a big improvement on that lap. So I keep getting slower and slower every lap. I just daren't come in the pits because I think the AI simulated times will probably beat mine. But I'm quite content sat behind Bobier in second, so I'm just going to stay out for as long as I can, although I've only got 0.7 of a lap worth of fuel left. But yeah, I'm just super scared that they're going to do some ridiculous time and beat me purely because of the simulation rather than actually beating me on track, because it doesn't seem like they've got any more, because the positions have been static since the start. Bobier's gone down as well now, so that definitely helps my case, although it doesn't matter if he goes faster because he's already on pole, he's already in front of me. Well, I'm out of fuel anyway, so I've got no choice but to pop in the pits now. We are just going to get there, I think, although the pits are uphill, so this could be close. I might not quite roll it to the pits. We're still going, and no, I didn't quite make it. So at the end of that session then, it was super close. As you saw, I ran out of fuel, and it just ended the session there as soon as I ran out of fuel. I guess it's because there wasn't enough time for me to return back to the pits, even though I was right in the pit lane exit, but entry, sorry. But obviously the game will just be like, oh well, there's not enough time to teleport you back to the pits. But oh, that was so close. Literally only 0.07 of a second in front of Stefano Manzi. But we just get through by the skin of our teeth. So we're going into Q2. Let's see what the pace is like. It's not too bad off of Canet in this session. So if that kind of pace transfers over to the next one, there might be a couple of attempts quicker. We could actually be, you know, in the ballpark of a decent position. So there was no glitch. It has actually put us through into qualified 2, which is always good to see. So we've got, you know, the same usual suspects in this session. And of course, I'm probably going to go for the same strategy, honestly. Because, I mean, that kind of proved my point that they are going to go faster with the simulated times, because they almost pushed me out. So we've got 15 minutes, which is a long time to go around Sachsenring, that is for sure, since it's such a short circuit. Even though it's only 1 minute 30 in the rain, which is shorter than most tracks in the dry, to be honest. So we're at the bottom of the session, of course, as you'd expect, since we qualified, probably the last one to go through Q1, but we are in Q2 at least. So that is very important, especially for the championship. We need to strike back at this round and get back in front of Sam Lowes, and well, the way to do that is not start him down in 20th or something like that. So we're through to qualifying 2. I'm hoping we can probably try and get in the top 10, top 5, something like that, because I think we have a little bit better pace than I showed in that session. So first lap then 6/10 away from the top time, but the first lap's always slower on the wet tyres just because they're terrible on the first lap. They've got no grip. So a slight improvement there with a 30.4, but I know I could go a little bit quicker than that. I went quicker in Q1. Seems like I'm struggling for grip a bit more in this session, honestly. So I've ran out of fuel again, as you can see, and it's in a bit more of an inconvenient spot, and Canet has lost the front there. I think it's because I was sat on the side of the track. And unfortunately, the simulated times have struck. I was trying to stay out on the track, so they couldn't do that. And unfortunately, I am miles down on the grid. That was fourth position before that, and it's ended up 13th. Sam Lowes was nowhere, Remy Gardner was nowhere, Bezzecchi was nowhere, Bobier was nowhere, Ben Schneider was nowhere, Di Antonio was on pole, and he's been demoted to 8th. So unfortunately, the simulated times have really messed with this session. I was just trying to stay out on track as long as I could, and really I should have pulled in the lap before. It was most certainly a mistake to try and stay out for as long as possible, just so they, you know, I was thinking, oh, if there's only 3 minutes, they won't improve as much, but unfortunately, I was definitely wrong. So we're going to be starting this race from 13th position, which is just ridiculous, because 4th place on the grid. I was 4th on the grid, and within, like, what, 2 minutes, I've been bumped down 9 places, yet in the previous 10 minutes, I hadn't moved at all. Yeah, that's unfortunate, because they've put Sam Lowes on pole as well, whereas Sam Lowes was behind me previously, so that's really, really annoying. We're going to have to give it everything we've got in the race. We're going to have to be ultra aggressive and hope that Sam gets off to a poor start, but I can't see it happening, to be honest. Sam's just been given a free load of points over me there. Undeserved as well. So then down here on the grid, and you can see Sam Lowes on pole position, of course, like we just said. Remy Gardner alongside him in 2nd place. And we, of course, have got to use wet tyres again, but we are miles behind on the grid. We're down in actually, I think we're in is it 13th or 14th? I actually can't remember. Not that it makes much of a difference, to be honest. It's a terrible starting position either way. Yeah, down in 13th place. It's going to be a tough race because we've actually got the pace to be further at the front, definitely. So we should be able to fight our way through a little bit, but I mean, the AI, they're pretty good at this circuit, and it's very difficult to pass at this track. So yeah, I think that the ball is definitely in Sam Lowes' court, because I mean, I couldn't even catch up to him from like a couple seconds behind in the last race. I'm not catching him from 13th on the grid, so unfortunately we are going to lose a lot of points to him there at this race, but what can you do really? It's just part of the game, I suppose. So we'll get this race started then, and we just got to be aggressive on this first lap.
Everything is ready to go here at the Sachsenring, and concentration is at the max because it's crucial not to lose positions early on this track.
So it's actually the top 3 you kind of expect. Lowes, Gardner and Bezzecchi on the front row, but waiting for the lights to go here then at Sachsenring. Lights out and away we go, and we're in power mode 3. I know that's not very, you know, advisable in the rain, but I've not got much choice. We've been passed already by our teammate as we go down towards the first corner. I'm going to have to try and break around the outside of all these riders. I've lost the rear a little bit. I've had contact with whoever that is in front of me. It's one of the MVs, but they both have the same set of leathers now, so I can't tell. So we've actually not lost anything overall. We've not gained anything either, but now we have picked up a position on Iagora. Agora back up the inside, a couple of people wide in front. I think it's Di Antonio, and it looks like it's Baldassari as well on the power as early as we can around the outside then of Iagora. We're going to get the inside of Celestino Vietti here. That is Joe Roberts right in front of us. I can see Augusto Fernandez in front of him. Ben Schneider as well. Not Joe Roberts, sorry, the Cameron Bobier on the American racing bike. But we've got up to 10th place. It's not been a terrible start, honestly. It's been a pretty good one. Can we try and get past Celestino at the inside into his left-hander? Oh, not quite, actually. I thought I was going to get that, but unfortunately I wasn't quite able to do so. Almost hitting him at the back. So he thought they are struggling on this first lap. Here we go, the inside of Celestino, though, now. Past Vietti, so up into 9th place now. Joe Roberts just ahead of us. Then it's Augusto Fernandez. Then it is Cameron Bobier. I've gone on the green, so a track limit warning there. Fair enough. But you know what, I'm not too bothered about that. Usually I'd probably drop, well actually I wouldn't drop back a little bit because I've been given my penalty for it, the track limits warning. And we've run wide as well, which has allowed Vietti back through. It's exactly what I didn't need to do. Can we get it into the last corner? It's going to be an aggressive pass, and someone's down. Who is it? It's not Sam Lowes. I thought it was Sam Lowes to begin with. It looked like a Mark VDS bike on the ground. But whoever it was has crashed. I think they were in the lead of the race. I think it might be Remy Gardner. I think Remy Gardner's crashed. And I've picked up another track limits warning on the way into the first corner. We've almost hit Joe Roberts there up the back, and surely we're going to lose another position now again to Vietti. No, we just keep in front of Vietti, so we're up to 8th place now. We've got a fair few laps to actually cast through this pack But Sam Lowe's is already trying to get away, and I can't let that happen. So Ben Schneider setting the fastest lap of the race in 29.7. I did a 30.3, so a little bit quicker than I did in qualifying there, I think. Here comes Digi. Digi's on the inside then. So the AI in front are getting away, and Fabio Di Giannantonio makes a move on me. I'm looking to get the pass back on him, though. I've been very aggressive with that. Hopefully I can try to sweep around his outside here. Yes, I can. So we're back in front of Di Giannantonio, so that's actually not too bad, although he's probably going to get me back here because I can't get on the power because I got on the curb on the way in, and I didn't want to crash. Around the outside again into the last corner. We gained a lot of time on them through this sector. I've got no grip, though, coming out of any of the corners. That's the problem. The main thing I'm struggling with. I'm in power mode 1. I can't even use power mode 2 or 3, really. I'm trying to use it a little bit on the straights where I can, but I can't even use 2 because it just spins so much. So Lowe's does the fastest lap then at 29.5. I do a 30.2. I'm 2 seconds behind Joe Roberts now. Look at this pack I've got behind. I'm just lucky, to be honest, that the AI can't pass very well. Even when I run wide like that, they don't get underneath me. So 29.8 on that lap. Sam did a 29.2. So we're so far behind him now, 2.2 behind Joe Roberts. So we didn't lose too much time to Roberts on that last lap. If we can gain a bit back on him on this one, maybe we can have a look on the last lap, because I know that AI are going to drop off again on this final lap. So 29.3 on that lap for me, 29.0 for Ben Schneider. So Ben Schneider still a fair amount faster. So I think we're just going to have to try and consolidate this position. Di Giannantonio had a look there. We've just got another trail limits warning on the inside of that first corner, because I went in a little bit too tight. We've got to watch out for Fabio Di Giannantonio, though. He's very, very close. So Digi and Canet are right behind me. I've got to brake nice and early for this left-hander, not to run wide, because they will get straight underneath me if I do. You can see how close they are. Then we've got to get out of here, well, ace the last corner, and just hang on to this 8th place. Although I'm still very annoyed about the whole qualifying debacle, although we probably didn't have the pace anyway. Sam Lowe's does a 28.9 on the last lap. Di Giannantonio tries to outdrag us to the line, but we just beat him and hang on to 8th place. So unfortunately, we've lost so many points there to Sam Lowe's because he's got the victory. Of course, I'm down in 8th place, and it's all because of those simulated times, because I ran out of fuel. I was trying to make it back to the pits just so there wouldn't be that much time for them, to simulate the times, and it backfired on me, to be fair, but the simulated times were ridiculous because they all found so much time. I mean, look, Di Giannantonio was on pole position before that, and he's ended up 9th in this race because of that. I got put down to 13th on the grid, so 8th place, not too bad. I mean, considering that it's Sachsenring, it's almost impossible to pass at this track, so I was quite happy with the first lap to make up all those positions. But yeah, I feel a bit cheated, actually, to be honest, in terms of that, because it's not fair that they find so much time. If they're that fast on the track all the time, then fair enough, it's an Austin-style weekend, but they're not that fast on the track. And yeah, well, Sam Lowe's has been given 25 points for free. When really he was down as 7th on the grid. He should have been behind me, not winning the race. So that gives him a big championship lead now. He's now 19 points clear of me. Now, of course, there's still half a season, so there's plenty of time for me to come back, but it's just an extra hurdle I didn't need. We've still got a fairly decent gap back to Marco Bezzecchi behind us as well. We've got about 40 points, but just under 39 points to him there. Bo Ben Schneider moves back ahead of Remy Gardner as well, because of course Gardner crashed in that one. But at the minute, I think it is pretty much a 2-horse race between myself and Sam. We need to try and strike back at him. Assen is going to be the next race, so that's probably a good chance to do so. And unfortunately, in the Teams Championship, both of the Mark VDS bikes beat all of us. All of the IO bikes dropped behind them, so they've took a big chunk out of our championship lead. They're only 7 points behind us now. So a pretty poor weekend overall for our team, although I was still the top scorer, so that's not too bad. But the reputation is still not going to be great because of that anyway. I don't like that mechanic particularly sometimes in the game. I think if you beat your teammates as well, you shouldn't lose as much points because the bike didn't have any more. So speaking of the reputation, then we lost 8,700, which takes us down to 287,675 reputation. We actually still get paid though, because we finished the race, I suppose. So we got paid 600 credits, so not the end of the world there. Total of 600, which takes us up to 217,504. And on the research data, actually not too bad overall. We got, 3 of them passed a ×2 multiplier. So we've got 9,200 now on the engine, 1,320 on the frame, and 3,800 on the electronics. So that pretty much wraps up this episode then. Not a great episode. Kind of stark contrast to the last one really, where we gained a lot of points on Sam because he had a pretty poor race back at Jerez, didn't he? And then we beat him at Le Mans, so we gained some points on him there. And then at Mugello, again, he didn't have a very good race. So in the last episode, we went from quite far behind to just in front of him. And unfortunately, he's basically he's undone everything that we did in the previous episode. So it's a little bit of a shame. But there definitely should be some tracks coming up that do suit the player over the AI, Assen definitely being one of them. Kimi Ring is probably not going to be too friendly to us this year. Of course, we got away with it in Moto 3, but that was Moto 3. I don't see us getting away with that again here. So this could be a really close championship between myself and Sam right to the end. And I can't let myself get too down about it because you're going to have off races. And to be fair, it wasn't a bad weekend. I was doing a good job until the simulated times took over, unfortunately. Because as well, let's be honest, really, it was simulated times that put me in Q1, then almost knocked me out of Q1. I got through to Q2, got it on 4th on the grid, and then pushed down to 13th. And it was simulated times the whole weekend that messed me up because I was 2nd in the dry free practice session. And then obviously I must have got bumped down to 16th. So, yeah, the simulated times definitely need to be changed in this game. So usually they'll go probably a few tenths faster, or maybe a second at max. Which at most tracks makes a difference, but not huge. But at Sachsenring, where there's tenths separating everybody, it messes up the timesheets completely. So a bit of an oversight there from Milestone, but just one of those things. It's part of the game, I suppose. We just got to bounce back in the next one. But I hope you guys did enjoy that episode. Hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.